We're going to continue on with our lesson by creating a holding feature. Now specifically, if we turn on our chain guard, you'll see that there is a feature over here which is hanging over. We're going to create a boss right here that can be used to support this material. So let's turn off our part geometry. And we're going to create wireframe geometry in this area, so we'll make sure that our level 106 fixture setup 1 wireframe level is active. And I'm going to go right to the wireframe tab and create a rectangle. I'm going to start somewhere around here, right at the corner, click once, and then place the rectangle right there by clicking again. Now I'm going to input the width and height. The width will be 30 and the height will be 100. Now I want to extrude this rectangle up. However, we are going to experience a little bit of challenge with the chaining. And the reason for that is because this line right here is on the same location as this line. So we'll see what happens. Let's go to solids, and let's first make sure that level 101 is our active level. That's where our solids go. And notice right now we have one entity on that level. When I click extrude, again, it's going to ask me to change geometry. And so here, if I select this line right there, notice the entire line for that overall plate is selected. However, if I move my mouse a little bit, I select that line. That's what I want. What happens is it starts here, it goes up, goes over, down, and then back here. And the reason we have a little unique nomen here is because we're at the end of this chain, and Mastercam wants to know, okay, are we done, or do you want to continue going along this chain? Well, we're done, so we'll click OK. And you can see that I now have the ability to extrude this up or down. I'm not sure exactly how far to go, so let's do this. Let's go back to our levels manager, turn on our part geometry level, and now we can graphically see how far we need to go, and even go back to our solid extrude function and tell it to go up to a point. Specifically, we select this point right there. Now at this point, I would typically choose Add Boss, and this continues to add this material to this solid. In this particular example, let's create a body, and we'll see what happens now. I click OK. Now you'll see that on level 101, we have two entities. We have this entity and that entity. Now that's not what I wanted, and in reality I could go back and make a change to it. Now let's just go and use another feature called Boolean under the Solids tab to combine the two together. So the feature is going to be called Boolean Add. The target is this, and the tool body is this. And I click OK, and I click OK again. Now you'll notice we have one solid on level 101, and if I select it, the entire entity gets selected. Now let's put two holes in this new feature using the wireframe geometry that we created previously. That wireframe geometry is on level 106. And if I temporarily hide level 101, you'll see that it's those two pieces of geometry right there. So let's go into our extrude. We'll select these two items. And then while I'm here, let me click OK. I'll go into our levels manager. We'll turn on fixture setup 1 and make it the active level. That way, when we go back into our extrude, it's going to see our target as this solid. And I want to cut a body, so you can see that's exactly what's happening. And we can choose through all, because it's only going to go through this solid and not impact the guard up top. So now, just as a check, we still have one entity on level 101, which is the solid, and on level 106 we have all of our wireframe geometry. Let's use our fillet command to round off some of these corners. I'm going to select this corner there, that corner, in that corner. Now this is a solid fillet, so this is different than our wireframe fillet that we've explored before. I'm going to click OK, and this radius is going to be 5, and we'll click OK to create our fillets. Now let's turn on level 107. If you recall, level 107 is our silhouette geometry that we created. I want to use this wireframe geometry here for another feature. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key and select it. And as you can see, it changed the entire piece of geometry, which looks good. I want to move that to my level 106 wireframe level, because that's where I keep all the wireframe geometry that I'm using for my solids. So I right click, go to change levels, and I'm going to copy this to level 106. And if I'm not really sure of the level, I could always hit select and then pick it from the list here. Now you'll notice right now level 106 has 19 entities. And when I click OK here to copy it, now level 106 has 30 entities. The reason there's a bunch of entities is there's small items right here. There's not one arc here. We're going to explore that in a later lesson. Now let's take this geometry and extrude it out. So we're going to make sure that 101 is our active level. Let's turn off 107. We don't need that anymore. Let's do an extrude. Select this geometry right here. Click OK. 14.5 millimeters. And I want to add a boss. Again, because I don't want this to be a separate body. I want it to be part of this overall feature here. You'll now see that level 106 still has one entity, and it's this one solid. Now another way to select geometry would be to go into wireframe mode. Or I can, for example, select this geometry for a hole. So let's go into our extrude command. We'll extrude that. I'll go back into my solid display. Click OK. And I want this to be a cut body through all in both directions, because I want it to go entirely through my part. Now at this point, this extrusion, well, let's click OK here. This extrusion supports this hole exactly. And as you know, it's a perfect fit, which is not realistic. We'll need to make this a little smaller. So we'll address this in another lesson as well.